All right, here we are, Celtics live post-game. We got ourselves a Celtics dub. It was against, arguably, and maybe not arguably, but one of the worst teams in the entire league, and even a shell of the Rockets with all the injuries and whatnot they had. But the Celtics got a dub, and we're hitting the win lights. Now, if we continue those lights, I'm going to have to put up like a, if you struggle with epileptic seizures and whatnot, please tune out of the stream. But we're going to roll with the win lights for now because I think it might be good luck moving forward. We popped it last stream just to test it out. Celtics got the win this stream, so let's see how it goes moving forward. But yeah, the Celtics smack the Rockets. And here's the thing. It's finally good to see them go out there and stomp a bad team, right? No matter how bad that bad team is. Like this Rockets team is, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel of not only the NBA, but of like the available basketball players out there. Like there's guys on that played tonight that would not be playing if, one, that Rockets team was even healthy, but two, shouldn't even be in the league. So, yes, I understand that. And yes, we're probably going to be overhyping that win because I'm just so excited to finally get that dub. But, the Celtics did go out there and do what they're supposed to do, which isn't always the case. So let's get into the show. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button if you are new. I think we're approaching 350 subscribers in just a couple months, which is awesome. So please hit that subscribe button if you are new and like this stream. Last stream, we had a like goal, I think 25 live. I think we'll do that again. Let's see if we can get to 25 likes live on the stream here. And then obviously, make sure to turn on the bell notification so you can jump in here and drop Noti Gang when we go live. But yeah, let's get into some of the box score. Before we do any of that, I got to tell you guys a little bit about, you know what it is, Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com. The promo code Celtics Live will save 20% off and free shipping on your order. They sent me a bunch of the products. The products work great. Not just for the downstairs, you can do the midsection, you can do the staircase, you can groom your body how you like, and Manscaped is the easiest way to get the job done. Your balls will thank you. Manscaped.com, promo code Celtics Live, 20% off and free shipping. We're going to get to chat in a second, but let's get to some of the box score first. So like I said, Celtics win. I think it was 134 to 107. Jason Tatum, 23 points. Jaylen Brown, 24 points. Kemba Walker started super cold, but then had one of the most miraculous 2 minutes to start the second half. He finished with 16 and 6. Next scorer, Robert Williams. It's time to get into the Celtics Live Player of the Game. Now, I've always said this is not going to be the guy that scores the most points or, does whatever, right? This is the guy that I feel like made the biggest impact on the game. And by the game, Robert Williams over and over again is showing us why he should be starting. The fact that he's not starting yet, I don't understand. I'm glad that he outpaced both Thompson and Tice tonight. I think that might be one of the first times that he's done that this year. But he finally has done it. And, that's the second time he's won Celtics Live post-game player of the game. And I just feel like, he's when he's on the court, and when he's playing well, because obviously he has some struggles and limitations, I get it. But when he's on the court, when he's playing well, he's grooving, man, and he is making such an impact. Guys can literally chuck it up near the hoop, and he finishes. The ball finds him in the rebounds. If it doesn't, he's head and shoulders above everyone else to get it. Robert Williams, well-deserving, 16 and 13 tonight. Didn't miss from the field, and he was a plus 17, if that means anything to you guys in a blowout win. But let's get to some of the chat. Gears checking in, saying, let's go. News is saying that's the worst team in a decade. I mean, maybe worse. That is a bad team. Capitalized, underlined, italicized, all caps, whatever, bold. That Rockets team, there's G League teams. There's 8th grade AAU teams that would beat that Rockets team. Nate says, I seriously don't get why we don't start Rob. Me neither. I think he should. Steven says, Rob, Tatum or Rob for player of the game. Kemba had to be better. Kemba, okay, here, I'll stop you here. Has to. Okay. All right, you corrected yourself. I was going to say, Kemba didn't need to be better. You know what I mean? Saying Kemba had to be better that game, that's not right. But you say Kemba has to be better, I can agree with that. The one thing I'll say is, Kemba, this is going to sound crazy, Kemba almost just, put that game away, right? When he started the half so hot, it was no looking back. So maybe if this was a back-and-forth game, maybe we would have seen something better from Kemba. But again, that's a maybe. Greg saying, why didn't we go after Kevin Porter Jr. for a second-round pick? Guy's an absolute bucket, would be our best bench player by far. And knowing how the season went or has gone so far, I would have totally gone for that. When we've talked about Kevin Porter Jr. on the stream before, he was brought up earlier when the Celtics were actually kind of grooving at the beginning of the year. And I think I said, as well as multiple people, I know, Greg, you brought his name up in a positive way. But I was on the stream saying, why would we bring like a headache or a question mark into a locker room like this that seems to be playing well? That was when the Celtics were playing not like really good at the beginning of the year. Now they're kind of like, I mean, tonight was a nice win, right? But they've been recently over the past month or so. So I would have taken him in a heartbeat. You kidding me? I would love to see him shooting that corner three over Grant Williams. I got it. I guess I just have to find ways to slip in the Grant Williams womp womp on the stream. But I would obviously rather Kevin Porter shooting that three or, the driving kick from Tatum three compared to him, Semi Ojeleye, those names. News says it was a good matchup for Rob. Houston had no big man. He can thrive against these lineups. That's the thing. If Robert Williams has the ability, and he didn't have this in him until this. I mean, he maybe had it in him. But Robert Williams wasn't the type of guy that could go overpower people. He could go over people, but there were so many plays that game tonight where he was getting physical, moving guys around, getting the board, which you got to love to see. That's the guy that's confident. He thinks, and whether he is or isn't, it doesn't matter. He thinks, I'm bigger, I'm stronger than the guy next to me. Let me go eat. Jimmy's saying, oh, no, Jimmy, you can't be saying this. Jimmy's saying trade Time Lord and whatever it takes for Vucevic, please. I'd love Vucevic, but I'm not willing to trade Time Lord. I don't think Time Lord should be involved in a trade for a big name, because if you give up Time Lord, you're getting that one big name, and I think I've said it on the stream over and over again. I don't know if just one big name turns this team around. Do you know what I mean? So if it takes Robert Williams to get Vucevic and you're just getting that one name that I think this team still would have flaws in, I don't know if I'm in on that. Kane saying they better get that W. Finally, they did what they're supposed to do. This team is historic at playing down to their competition, playing up against good teams, sure, but playing down to their competition. Finally, they were like, wait a second. I mean, we need a key to unlock the lock to even get down to this competition. Like, this is even below us. The Celtics were finally like, whoa. All right, I know we play down to our competition, but if we're playing down to this competition, we got problems. So, finally, they spack a team. Kane saying Time Lord is definitely upping his trade value. Guys, I don't know. He's upping his trade value, but I don't think, all right, here we go. This is how I'll combat the trade Time Lord argument here. I think if you trade Robert Williams right now, you are trading him where, yeah, he's upping his trade value, but you're trading him at a spot in his career where his potential is nowhere reached. You know what I mean? And yes, it's the gambling game. I'm willing to do it, but you're trading Robert Williams right now for what? A Vucevic who's really good, who's obviously would help this team, be a good player, but you're trading Robert Williams, and all of a sudden, what are you going to do in 5 years when Vucevic is out of the league and Robert Williams is one of the biggest beasts in the NBA? I don't like trading the guy on the upward slope. I like trading a guy like if Jeff Teague is on the upward trend right now because you know he's not going to become a superstar in a year or two, right? I'm okay with that, or I'm okay with a guy like if Grant Williams is having a few good games in a row, maybe you go and trade him because, I don't really believe in the player. I really believe in the player Robert Williams, so I'm not looking to trade him. Ubi says, I'm kind of worried after the first, but they blew out a team. Yeah, I was kind of worried too. Kevin saying, whoever's saying trade Time Lord is nuts. Nate saying, we're not moving him and never call him Robert Jimmy Time Lord. Jimmy J Time Lord again. Kane saying, yes, but we have to trade someone good to get a good piece. You don't, though. Like, you'll find a way to get a good piece, and you don't even need a good piece. I'm telling you guys. You get a guy like Ben McLemore and another guy on that Rockets team, all of a sudden this team gets better. Like Ben McLemore had my eye on tonight. He started slow, he ended up playing a little bit better. You build this bench, you build the middle to lower part of the team. This team gets a lot better than people think. They have the Kemba, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Robert. Like they have the top half of the lineup pretty set. And I get it. You add another star or superstar to this team, obviously it's going to help. I'm not saying that. But I don't think that their primary focus should be, okay, let's take away a guy, that's playing really well like Robert Williams and trade for another big man. I think almost, obviously you get marginally better, but only marginally better. I think you really want to get guys that you can get for cheap. Like Greg said earlier, you get a Kevin Porter Jr. for a second-round pick. All you're doing is adding. There's no subtraction of the team. I don't know if the Celtics team can afford to subtract anything when trying to add. They got too many holes. All right, I'm skipping ahead a little bit in the chat right now. Greg says, I know you were happy and grinned when Grant got hit in the nuts. I just started playing that to myself. No, I mean, Grant Williams, again, Didn't have a bad night. He missed a 3, made a 3, right? And then I think he hit, did he hit another 3? I forget. No, he made a couple foul. So to me, like, okay, Grant Williams can go and do his thing. He's still a nothing out there, and it's sucks because I know a lot of people like him, but he's a nothing to me. Kane says, I say use Rob in a trade because we have nothing else. That's if you are trying to go for the huge big name. But, if you find a team that's selling, you can use just some like picks, younger guys, like maybe like a Romeo or something like that. And then all that money too. Some teams are going to be willing to clear house or trade a guy just to get him off the books. Wong says, Rob has potential to be one of the most complete centers in the league. That's my thing. I don't think you trade a guy that's scratching the surface. If you trade a guy while he's on the up, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like even a guy like, Langford, if he comes back and plays really well, like I'm okay with trading him because that's not a guy that, and that's just my opinion, I'm not a guy that I just believe is going to be a game changer in this league. I think Robert Williams has game changer potential, and he's changed a lot of games this year. Greg says, I hate McLemore. I don't want that guy in the slightest. Absolute bust. Hey, Greg, if you're saying you don't want McLemore over Semi Ojeleye shooting that 3, I don't know what to tell you, man. Nate's saying we're 1-0 and I'm wearing the City of Champions hoodie from the shop. Guys, if you want to pick up some merch, the store link is in the description. No promo codes to offer you, Jamokes. Jesus, you guys took money out of my pocket that stream. But I was a man of my word. I did have the 40% off code for you guys. But yeah, the link to the description. You can pick up. I don't know if any of the Teddy Celtic stuff is still in stock, but definitely snag it. New says, Williams for Vucevic, no questions asked. I'm watching him at A&M now with the Celtics. He's an athletic freak, but he will not be as valuable as the team as Vucevic. And then what do you do in 2 years when Vucevic is old and declining? And the Jason, here we go. This is a great point here. Listen up. Listen up. Turn the volume up. What do you do when Vucevic 2 years from now is now declining in his game? Robert Williams is still a young spring chicken getting better and better, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are only 26 and 25 years old. What do you do then? Now all of a sudden you traded to try and make a move in the next 2 years where you traded a guy that could be a beast with the Jays as they grow. Let's see. Gear says, that's why Barnes is such a good fit. If we only have to give up Neesmith or Romeo in a first, that'd be a great deal. It would, and I would take that. I don't think Barnes totally puts him over the top. I've said that, multiple times. But I think I would go to sleep with a smile on my face with Harrison Barnes. I think this team needs more than just one guy to all of a sudden become like this contender that we want them to be. And that's not necessarily a knock on them. Like, I get it. Marcus Smart's back. This team's getting better. Guys are only playing better, like Robert Williams. They had a piece like Harrison Barnes. Obviously, yeah, that's great. But, I mean, if you are saying that if Harrison Barnes makes them compete with the Nets or the Sixers, that's where I get a little weary. I think other teams around them are getting better. And, I'd like them to build a team rather than just adding one piece, and hoping it works. Ian says, couldn't have watched past the first half. Rockets are so atrocious, I couldn't do it. Good win, but I hope everyone knows there's no stake in this win. The only bit of weight I'll put into this win, and I've said it a couple times here, is that the Celtics were supposed to blow out the Rockets, right? What did they do? They blew out the Rockets. So there's almost a little win inside the win. You hear what I'm saying? Like if this team, fought us tooth and nail and the Celtics ended up winning by 6, I'd be like, yeah, it looks like a win on the scoreboard and the stat sheets, but damn, are you serious? We couldn't just eke out a huge win here? Or we had to eke out a win, I should say? That would be worrisome. The fact that Celtics did go in and do what any good team would do to this Rockets team, that's sort of where I come off saying, okay, you know what? It's a good enough. It's good enough for me, I'll say. Guys, if you're watching this stream on YouTube, be sure you are subscribed. It does a lot for the channel, and I love that we're growing and approaching 350 subs. And if you're watching this stream right now on YouTube, just hit the like button. Do me a solid. We're here live after every single post game, whether it's a big win, small win, blowout loss, heartbreaking loss, game winner loss, that type of thing. We're here live after every single Celtics game, grinding away. So please hit that like button if you are here. We'll do the lights again. This light, somehow when I pop these lights, we hit our light goal last stream. I'm doing it again. We got the Celtics win lights. That means we're going to hit like 100 likes this stream if I pop those lights. It has to, or else I look like an idiot just popping some random strobe lights in the background. Come on, give me the likes. And make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching on Periscope or Twitch, that's fine. But I strongly urge you to head over to YouTube because I think by month's end, we're going to be here exclusively. Raisin saying Kemba Walker turned into Kem Brick again tonight. He actually went out on fire. He played well to put this game away. And then, I guess, Obviously, he gets subbed out. He didn't really need to do much. So Kemba, I wasn't thrilled with in the first half. I don't even know if did he score in the first half? Am I going crazy? But then that's 2 minute stretch where he scored like 12 points in 2 minutes was enough for me to say, okay, you know what? Let bygones be bygones. I'm not going to be mad at Kemba for tonight. Knight saying Bagley to Celtics. I would take him in a heartbeat. I think that you get him low too. I think that people are throwing the B word, the bust word around with him. People don't think he's going to be anything. I would take Bagley. I don't know if they were willing to give him up or give him more time, but I would take him. CS saying, I love Rob. If he was 6'10" or bigger, he'd be untouchable, but he's limited offensively, and I don't think he can progress offensively on this team. I mean, it's fine. Like, I'm not gonna say Robert Williams is like a MVP winner in the future. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying Robert Williams is the stud. I'm saying I just don't want to trade him just yet. Like, maybe that, and hey, you guys got to give me credit. The first thing I said was it's a gamble that you're playing. You know what I mean? And I'm willing to do it because the Jays are so young and because Robert Williams could grow with them. I'm thinking it's a gamble I'm willing to take. All right? So I'm not saying Robert Williams is going to be better than Vucevic or that he is already better than Vucevic. I'm well aware that Vucevic is at like the top of my, if you were to get one name, who would it be list. I just don't know if I would go Robert Williams for him. Kane saying not only for Vucevic, I'm saying for a superstar. Well, I mean, yeah, if you're going to go get Bradley Beal with Robert Williams, I probably would have to say yes, because at that point, but that's a drastically different player. A superstar compared to Vucevic, who, I mean, I know he's playing like one now, but I think that that's a recent, like, turn on the switch type of thing in terms of Vucevic. I wouldn't call him a necessary superstar right now. I think he could be. I think he has plenty of superstar games. But if you're talking about going and getting a superstar like Bradley Beal or Karl-Anthony Towns or any of these names, I'd be an idiot to say no about Robert Williams, because that guy that you're getting is would be an untouchable team for this team. But all of a sudden, you can go and get him. So fair. I mean, no one's going to sway me. No one is going to sway me in terms of saying, yeah, I'd trade Robert Williams right now, unless it's for like an MVP candidate player, which isn't going to happen. Greg says, I'm trading Smart over Robert Williams now. Questions asked. No questions asked. I think Robert Williams, I see that in the chat too. I am going to catch up in the chat, I promise. But I see, we'll just jump right to that. I'm going to jump back in the chat though. But Ian says, list of untouchables after the Jays. So obviously it's the Jays. I don't know if there's a true untouchable after the Jays, okay? So if we go untouchables, I think obviously you have to say Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are untouchable. They've both made their mark enough to the point where you don't even think I don't think I would even include Jaylen Brown in a trade for Karl-Anthony Towns or Bradley Beal anymore. And I'm sure I'm not alone there. They've finally made enough of a statement to the rest of the NBA that they wouldn't even say, hey, you're crazy for not doing that move. But after that, like, obviously, the couple guys in question here would be Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker, which I'm sure are on some people's lists. They're not untouchable to me. I would love Marcus Smart to continue being a Celtic and continue being the Celtic, but I would trade Marcus Smart. He's not untouchable. Robert Williams has crept up into that sort of category, the right below untouchables here. So I would go Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, only untouchables, in a similar group in terms of I'm not shopping them at all. I don't want to trade them. I really would like to not trade them, but if a deal presents itself that's a no-brainer, obviously you have to pull the trigger. I would put probably Robert Williams, Kemba Walker, Peyton Pritchard, and Marcus Smart, And again, those are names that I could be talked into for the right offer. And then after that, it's like, honestly, after that, I don't know if I care about any of those guys if they stay or go. Tice Thompson, you could do without. I think you can get something for Tice if you really wanted to. Even Neesmith, who I'd love to say I'm going to sit here and, ride out his career. I don't know what's happening with him because he seemingly, insulted Brad Stevens' wife or something. The guy doesn't even he barely plays even when they're winning by 50 points. So I don't know. I think that list is pretty damn short in terms of untouchables. It's a 2-name list. All right, I'm skipping back in the chat. That's the first, right? News says, hopefully Grant Williams didn't manscape. Need some extra padding for that crotch shot. Which brings me to the great transition of, guys, if you are interested in grooming your downstairs area or freshening up for the summer, head over to manscaped.com. Use promo code CelticsLive to support me, but you also get hooked up with 20% off and free shipping over on Manscaped. But that Grant Williams crop shot, we talked about it. It was a pure, in fact, I should be like clapping for that. I don't know why I'm doing the womp womp. It was great to see. Knight saying, have you noticed Tatum and Jalen ISOs mostly turn to turnovers? Yeah, that's the ISO. I think that's no secret anymore, too. I'm glad you brought that up. The Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown ISOs, they just have to stop. I think we all acknowledge that by now. It's enough of, these are our guys. Like, let's hope that they keep doing. No. The ISOs are BS. These guys, when they're in the flow of things, they're as good as anybody. But some of these ISOs are just like, eh. Like, I can tell when Jason Tatum has the ball in the left corner and he dribbles between his legs a few times, I know the step back to the side left is going to happen. And sometimes he makes it, and it's like, oh, my God, what a superstar. And other times he misses, and you're like, could you just pass the ball? Like, you might get the ball back if you just pass it around a little. Ubi says, honestly, don't get the Kemba Walker talk after the game. Like, yes, he didn't play too well, but we blew out the Rockets, so it's fine. What did you expect from Tatum, Brown, and Kemba to drop 30 each? That's where I was, and I said it earlier in the stream. I don't think you can knock Tatum, Brown, or Kemba for really any of their final box score numbers. It's like, was Kemba Walker supposed to play in garbage time just to score 20 points so some Celtics fans would be happy? No. So, yeah, totally. Greg says, Robert Williams can be a better version of a prime DeAndre Jordan when his prime comes, which would be incredible alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown when their primes come, considering that they're not even at the age yet. Sergio says Robert Williams for Gigi Datome. Now I'm sold. You bring back Gigi Datome, and I'm trading Robert Williams. Wangi saying people still disrespecting Marcus. Yeah, the disrespect for Marcus is out there. I hope you guys aren't taking me saying that he's like a touchable player. That sounds weird. Touchable player. As me insulting him. Like, I do not want to trade Marcus Smart. I want him to be a Celtic probably for his whole career. Put 36 in the rafter when it's all said and done. Whatever. Shoot me for saying that. But if an unbelievable offer comes and Marcus Smart's like the yes or no in the deal, then I would consider it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're talking an absolute superstar and I'm clinging on to Marcus Smart, I know how much he means, but I'm not trading Marcus Smart for anything below a superstar level. And even if that, I'd have to love the superstar. MP says we need Jamal Crawford. It wouldn't hurt. I mean, it's weird to me that, like, I don't even know. Maybe you guys can inform me. Does he even really want to be in the league? Is he like an Isaiah Thomas where he's tweeting out being like, I'm ready, waiting for the next opportunity, blah, blah, blah? Or is Jamal Crawford just chilling, not playing basketball? Because if he's done and like has put on 40 pounds and stuff now, like, I don't know if I'm trying to go get him. But again, even a guy like that, what's the harm? You sign him for vet min, you play him, he stinks, okay, put him on the bench, you're back to square one. Ubi says, honestly, I'd still, Jaylen Brown is still touchable and for a true superstar like an MVP type player. Yeah, and I understand that. Like, I think he's fringe for me, but he is untouchable for me. Mustafa saying you can't get Beal or Cat with a superstar without throwing Jaylen Brown. Yeah, I agree, which is, I think, going to be the hindrance. But you can get Bradley Beal if you wait, what is it, a year or two? When Kemba's contract's up and Bradley Beal's contract's up at the same time? You don't have to give up anybody except a bunch of money. Abdul says Vucevic was eating tonight. Greg saying Tice needs to be gone. He can't get a bench score. He can get us a bench score and more before deadline. Maul saying Rob not starting is similar to Jalen not starting his rookie season in 2018 and 19. I think Rob could win Defensive Player of the Year someday. I agree. New says Tight won't get us any better than what he is. He's on an expiring contract and could start for half the teams in the NBA. So let me spin this a little bit. I think you're right. You're not going to get anything better than for what he is. But you say yourself, he's on an expiring contract, which the Celtics should try and shop in. Even if they get Tice's level of a center at like a bench wing, I think that's an upgrade. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Tristan Thompson, Robert Williams, I get it. You'd have to rely on those two guys now at the big man. But Daniel Tice, I know you're not going to get someone better than Tice with Tice in the trade. But I think Tice's level of play allocated to a different position, I think that could work. Raisin says still doesn't believe in Kemba. Kane saying he's a quality role player. He's a quality role player who's cheap. News says Kane saying if Kemba can come back to what he was in the first quarter when he first came over, it would be great. I think we've seen spurts of that. Like I think it's a super underrated. Kemba Walker's been more consistent than people think. Like he's not having the wow games. He's had a couple of them, let's be honest, but he's not having the wow games, and I get that. I'm not going to sit here and say Kemba Walker is like a 25 and 10 guy every single night. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think Kemba Walker, and again, I think I'm Kemba biased. I don't want to trade him. I think that I believe in him by season's end. I think he's had more good games than bad games, but people love to cling on to and harp on the good games. Even a game like tonight where we've already discussed and entertained a bunch of the comments saying that Kemba Walker, had a bad night, or he was, I think one of you guys called him Kem Brick, right? It's like, well, yeah, but he also played, like he had a large part in just putting that game away. Came out of the second half and just went off. Like 11 points in like a minute and a half, had the steal, assist to Tatum. Like, if you can get more of that from Kemba, people are going to feel like such idiots for saying trade Kemba earlier on in the year. You know, it's tough because obviously he's a max contract guy and you got him for his scoring. And to say, okay, well, guess what? You know, you wanted when you signed him 25 from him a night type of thing. Now you're only going to get like 18 to 19, 20 type of thing. It's like, okay, it sounds terrible, but it's not your money. It's not my money. If the guy helps us win, the guy helps us win. And I also think it's going to be super hard to trade Kemba Walker. Like, I don't know what team would necessarily want to pay the money and get him. Maybe some team out there, sure, but I think the point I'm making, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the point I'm making, I think it'd be really hard to trade Kemba Walker, and then whatever you get in return, I don't think would be as good as what Kemba Walker could be. All right, here we go. MP says, yes, he always tweets. He's ready. He's on the JJ podcast. This is talking about Jamal Crawford. He's a vet, and he can still drop a time-to-time 20 bomb. Then I'm willing to swing the bat. Like, I feel like you don't lose some of the skill that he has. Like, he'll be 65 years old and be able to drop buckets. I would swing the bat on him, but I don't know. I'm surprised. Maybe he's being picky. Like, is the situation that no one is going to get him, or is it, like, it's weird to me because we've talked about it. We've gone on rants. Isaiah Thomas, a perfect example of a guy that I'm shocked no team just swinging the bat on. Like, I think in people's minds, like, why would you waste money on this guy? You're barely going to pay this guy, right? And then you bring him in, and if he stinks, then it's big whoop. You have him for 1 year. If he stinks, you sit him on the bench, and you play, business as usual. It's so puzzling to me that some of these guys don't get picked up immediately. Unless they're holding out for, like, stupid money. You know what I mean? That's different. If a guy like Jamal Crawford or Isaiah Thomas is looking for tens of millions of dollars for a year instead of taking, what's in front of them, then obviously it's their fault. Sergio saying these next few weeks are going to kill me hearing all the rumors. Yeah, is it the 25th? I think the deadline's the 25th. It is going to be interesting because as much as we've always seen the sort of, the smoke and Danny Ainge just promised fireworks and stuff at times, I don't know if we've had a time where the team just needs to make a move. You know what I mean? Like, this team is, I don't want to say desperate, but look at some of the games that we've played this year. Like, they hit rock bottom 4 different times, 4 different rocks, all consecutively. It's going to be really interesting, and I think that this is finally going to be a year, I hope. I could also see it completely flopping, but I hope it could really be a year where, we get what we're almost promised in a sense, where there is a big move, and it gives us something to look forward to and something that we can say this is going to make the team better. Greg says, Tice isn't a starter for any team. He should be a bench guy. He is a starter on a bad team. So, I mean, if we're going to come to a compromise, it's probably that. Daniel Tice isn't a starting center for a championship team, but Daniel Tice is definitely a starting center in my mind for probably the second half of the bottom half of the league. But we can agree to disagree, Greg. He's not a starter for any team, but he should be a bench guy. He isn't anything special, and he has his moments, but I don't think he's great at anything. He would be amazing on the bench, though. I think we're all in agreement there. Like, Daniel Tice coming off your bench is a plus. That's a better than most bench player in my mind, because especially with his ability, and I say ability lightly because I feel like he's cooled off, but his ability to now stretch the floor too. I really think, if he's all of a sudden on the bench or coming off the bench for any team, I think he definitely makes the team better. Gear says, what makes Barnes such a good trade target is we don't have to give up much. He's the best guy we can get without giving up Rog. Like for Jeremy Grant or Vucevic, they would want Rob and picks or more. Yeah, Barnes, you hear he's like on the market. Same with Vucevic, but the one thing with Vucevic, the guy has exploded in the last month and a half, making it ridiculously hard to have to go and get him. And rightfully so, okay? Like, I'm not trying to say, it sucks that Vucevic went off. I love that he's just balling. The weird stat? He's averaging, what is it? His stats are ridiculous, but he leads the league in minus and plus minus. Now, some people might be like, that means he's a bad player. No, that to me is the biggest, no-brainer depiction of, holy crap, he is wasting away on a team. He's going off every single night, but his team just keeps getting beat every single possession, and his plus minus is the worst in the league. I think it is the worst in the league, or something like that, worst in the league, and he's dropping, 20 and 25 and 15. It's crazy. Feel bad for him. News saying good argument on the Tice trade value. I think, and again, guys, I'm not a Tice hater. I think Tice has been amazing in what's been asked of him these past couple years. But I firmly believe He's not a starting center on a championship team. And 2, if Daniel Tice were to go somewhere else, I think that we'd move on with our lives. You know, I get it. He's going to be great some nights, and, you know, we're all going to love Tice. The war on Tice has been won, that type of thing. I think we quickly forget about Daniel Tice. Gear says it's time we move either TT or Tice to the bench for depth at other positions. No point of having we either move and trade one of them. I just botched this comment. I'm sorry, PJ. It's time we move either Tristan Thompson or Tice to get another position. No point of having Tice play when he just takes away minutes from Rob. I know, and I'm hoping they're starting to see that you can trust Rob. And I know we're going to have Rob, you know, there's people in the chat tonight that want to trade Rob or don't like Rob or whatever. My thing, and I give credence to the people that say, well, Robert Williams still gets roasted on defense from time to time, and he still gets this and that. That's totally fair. Like, I'm going to give you that. But how is he going to improve upon that? By playing. Like, Robert Williams isn't getting better at not jumping for pump fakes or being in the right place, right time in terms of rotations by doing it and they're not even practicing right now. It's like, how is he going to get better? You got to play him. You got to jump into the, you know, deep end and figure it out. So if you're going to trade Tice or Thompson and you say, oh, I'm scared to roll with Rob Williams, it's a gamble. Like I said, Rob Williams is a gamble right now, and it's a gamble I'm willing to take, to be honest. Like, to me, barring any ridiculous trades, like, this Celtics year is a learning year in a sense, while still being able to be good. I know we don't necessarily have the record to show for it, but I don't know if I'm expecting a championship there. I think anyone that's truly expecting a championship and, like, means that deep down is crazy right now. This team has shown that they got some serious problems. So what's the harm in saying, okay, let's start Robert Williams and see how he does from start to finish type of thing? I don't know. Wong saying, ideal scenario is having Tice come off the bench. Totally agree. CS is saying Tice over TT, awkward offense all day. The fact that Tice can stretch the D further than awkward jump hooks makes him more valuable than TT. It does, and I think Tristan Thompson has done a lot for this team, like, underratedly. You do lose a lot of rebounding, but we're hoping Robert Williams can be a rebounder, right? So I'll give you that. Raisin says, Kemba has been good, but not for a max player. Is he really giving us enough? I don't think so, not yet. But that's my thing. And I'm fully admit I could be the dumb one, you know, when the season's all said and done. But I think Kemba will end up contributing enough to be the max player. Kane saying, if Kemba can be great, this team can go places, 100%. Ian saying, do you think there's a chance Pritchard will be developed and good enough to start at the point guard when Kemba's contract is up? And we can let him walk and not trade it by then. I hope he is, but I don't think he will be. And hey guys, I'm not trying to rag on Pritchard, right? But the Pritchard that we have now, I honestly believe it's pretty close to whatever Pritchard's going to be by the end of his career. And that's not to slight him. Like, he's been really good for the Celtics. Not every single night, but that's that. Okay, I'll give you that. That's the type of thing that I think will start to you know, even out as he gets more and more further into his career. The consistency, right? But in terms of him, you know, getting way, way better, I don't know if Pritchard's ceiling is all that high. I think that he's, you know, higher than most rookies in terms of floor right now, but I don't know how much higher his ceiling is. And that's not to slight him, but I don't know if and again, I could be wrong. Who knows what Pritchard's going to turn into? To me, I just don't see a guy that's going to be like a true starting all-star type point guard. But I hope I'm wrong. All right, I'm skipping ahead in the comments just a little bit here. Raisin says, trade for Barnes and then pick someone up from the buyout market. I would do that. If you get Harrison Barnes, or say even forget the buyout for a second and you make another small trade, like we talked about it on Tommy Points. Harrison Barnes and I almost said in Tommy Points. Harrison Barnes and Terrence Ross, that sign me up. That's the type of trade where I'm like, wow, you just improved in 2 areas. You got the big name that everyone wanted, and then you got a guy that really could help this bench scoring. Raisin said if they can get something for value of Tice, they should pull the trigger. They should, because I don't think we're going to miss him. Kellen's saying, never been a Tice guy. Think he hurts us more than helps us. Can't wait until he's gone. I don't know about hurts us more than helps us, but I do think there's nights where Tice, and we saw it in the playoffs, he can be exposed. Daniel Tice is a really good regular season center, in my opinion, but the minute you're in a series with a team, and then, you know, they can, you know, whatever, he does whatever he wants the first night, right? And then all of a sudden the coach is game planning for the exact same team, the opposing coach game planning for the exact same team. All of a sudden I think you can start targeting Tice. I think we saw that in the playoffs, and it was because all of a sudden you're now in 7-game series instead of just playing a team one night and moving on to a different city. Kane saying TT is trash compared to Tice in my opinion. Gear saying holding on to 3 centers just makes me think they don't trust Rob. Yeah, I don't think they do. I think the fact that we haven't, like, honestly, Robert Williams, in my opinion, has earned startable games here. I don't know about like Brad Stevens always says the lineup's going to be fluid. I'm shocked that Robert Williams hasn't been starting some games. A game like tonight where he played plenty of minutes, but why not even try starting him? That does tell me that they don't trust him, because he should just be starting some games at this point. Like, it's no longer like a gimmick that we're like, oh my God, this guy dunks so hard. We love him. Start him. No. There's been multiple nights in the recent, few games too, where he's outplaying your other bigs. So why not start him? Greg says Tristan Thompson gets rebounds and scores in the paint. A good night for Tice is rebounding like 5 rebounds, while Thompson gets 10 or more a night with mad offensive boards. Yeah, I think that it's tough because I'm just getting finished pumping Aaron Robert Williams' tires. I think the trio that they have of big men all do like different things and could work really well if they don't go and get a big man. Like, I don't think the big man issue is the biggest issue right now. So to me, okay, again, Harrison Barnes, Terrence Ross, and you run with these 3 big men, I think your team's better than if you didn't do Harrison Barnes and Terrence Ross and just got a Vucevic and traded Robert Williams. I think keeping these 3 big men, I don't think it's the biggest weakness in the world. And adding 2 wing guys, one that would probably start and one that would probably come off the bench, I think that that's better than trading one of the up-and-coming guys on your team for a guy that plays the same position. And, then you still, at that point, I guess, would still have the 3 big men issue. But call me crazy. Kane says, I agree. I've been saying, why not start Rob and see what happens? Just start him. Like, see what happens. It's a good way to put it. MP said, it's not like you're risking money or risking, have to trade anyone to get Robert Williams. No, he's on your team already. Just start him. If it doesn't work, pull him and put someone else in like you've been doing. MP says, this is kind of off topic, but do you remember how close Kevin Durant was to signing with the Celtics? Yeah, yeah. And then we brought Kelly Olynyk to the meeting. I think we talked about that last stream. We brought Kelly Olynyk. What was it, Marcus Smart? Was it Marcus Smart or Isaiah? I don't remember who the Celtic was other than Kelly Olynyk, but I know Tom Brady came, and you're like, okay, how can we offset Tom Brady? Kelly Olynyk? And then all of a sudden, Kevin Durant probably doesn't even remember meeting Tom Brady because of Kelly Olynyk. News says, since we were talking bigs, can we all agree watching him tonight at Taco is just awful? He's embarrassing. News is gonna get some heavy hands from some of the taco stands here, but he's just awful. He was embarrassing. Nothing more than expensive victory cigar, wasted roster spot. For now, I don't think he's a waste, but I am on the side that I don't think that he is going to get valuable playing time. And I keep saying it over and over again. My biggest reason, forget him as the player. I think you're right in a lot of ways, News, but forget him as a player. I think if you play Taco Fall, you're taking minutes away from Robert Williams, and I don't know about that. That being said, and this kind of completely contradicts what I just said, I still think that, Taco Fall could play to some regard. I think you see other, like Marjanovic, he stunk when he first came in. Now he's kind of playing. Taco Fall is still obviously young. I don't know if he's ever going to get there, but I think he could be a player that plays a little bit sometime. I just don't know if it's going to be the Celtics. Like, are they going to hold on to him for that long? Wang says, I agree you're most likely not going to win a championship starting Tice, but his credit, he stepped up massively last season and now this season being started at the 4. Pablo says, great show. Robert Williams, good game. 16 points, 13 boards. He continues to improve and impress. Kane says, we're not beating the Nets. Just hope we find a way to land a superstar. Ian says, thank you. Exactly what I come here for. You're a C's fan like all of us, but at the end of the day, you have to be real about the roster. Hardo Green Teamers, and I am a Hardo Green Teamer, as most of you know, in a lot of respects, but I'll continue here. Hardo Green Teamers overvalue the roster. Still wish you were on the trade Kemba train, though. Yeah, I'm not. And again, like I can admit, I'm probably by this point, like, locked into not wanting to trade Kemba. So, like, when I'm watching him, I'm already, have that preconceived notion of I don't want to trade this guy, right? Because I do believe in Kemba, so I don't think it's going to change. It's like the opposite. Grant Williams has a good night, and I'm still like, okay, well, come on. How often is that going to happen? You know what I mean? It's like I have a positive connotation with Kemba and a negative one towards Grant. I don't know if that's going to change. That's just true bias in me, but I think Kemba's going to prove a lot of people wrong. Kane says there's a small chance we can beat the Nets. I'm still holding on to it. This is what I'll say. They can beat the Nets. Through 7 games, I don't know. That's where it comes down to. This Celtics team already, and we've seen it, is good enough to beat any team in the league once or twice or anything like that, right? But everything has to come together. You have to have a great game from Brown, Tatum, Kemba. Everything has to come together. In a 7-game series, you got to expect not all these guys are going to play A+ to their level and beat a good team. And yeah, I know the Nets are thin. I know that they don't have much defense. But come playoff time, if they're gonna have 3 absolute superstars and all that firing power, then they're gonna have DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin for whatever he's worth, Joe Harris. Like this, the Nets, they're really good right now. And I know that people want to say, oh, they don't have the defense and the depth, they stink. I think that they're still going to be the favorites out of the East easily. Gear says, everybody be sure to hit up the stream so it can be promoted to more people. We can continue to grow. Yeah, hit that like. What are we at right now? I haven't been pushing the likes. You guys get me talking Celtics so much, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I gotta try promoting this thing that we're doing here. I could be talking to one person. I'd be talking my own ear off. But yeah, let's hit the likes. We got 25 people in here now on YouTube and only 13 likes. If you don't hit the like button right now, one, you're guaranteeing the Celtics lose to Utah, so shame on you. But you're probably also a Lakers fan, maybe? Or a Philly fan? Or you've jumped on the Nets bandwagon. I just can't imagine why anyone wouldn't hit the like button right now if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah, I really can't. I can't come to any other sort of definite answer other than you're a fan of those three teams. Maybe you love Kyrie Irving and you followed him to Brooklyn. I don't know. But if you hit the like, it's going to add one more point to the Celtics total next game. And if you subscribe because you're new, now we're talking, that's 2 extra points. Sergio says, building the bench is important for this team because we have been playing both Jason Tatum and Jalen with bench unit. Needs some guys to actually give them rest. Jalen's actually going to burn himself out. The fact that they're playing like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in a blowout, played 28 minutes and 27 minutes. They've been playing so many minutes. Greg says, not even a Tice hater. I like him. I would trade him because he won't stay here and isn't great, and we can get a bench player for him. I would trade him while we can. Yeah, I think I'm in that boat too. Totally. Mauli said, Brad just said Marcus Smart will be starting when his minutes restriction is up, so one of the bigs will get less minutes. I think that's good. Honestly, the starting lineup I want to see, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I want to see Kemba, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Robert Williams. Let that start, and let's see what happens. I'd love to see that. I really would. Greg says, I think Rob and Thompson are both better. Tice can shoot, so it's a good thing for being his size. Yep. Abdul says, Rob per 36 numbers in the last 10 games. 18 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 blocks. Yikes. Sergio says it was IT at the meeting with Durant. That's what I thought. I couldn't remember. Kellen saying, do you guys believe the C's have offered multiple first rounders for Grant, or is Danny bluffing? I think Danny Ainge, I always jump to like he's bluffing or it's a smoke screen, that type of thing. So I don't think the Pistons will trade Grant. Like, I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't see why they would. I don't think you're going to get Grant. Like, Grant's in a unique situation to me, unless the Pistons are saying, hey, we're going to absolutely rebuild from the ground up. We have these rookies and young guys that we like. Give me more picks. Give me more young guys. That's what we're going to focus on. Then I guess I see it differently. But to me, it's like Grant Williams, yikes. Jeremy Grant, I think you'd be trading for not the correct return. Like, I think the Celtics would be trading, a couple young guys and picks for Jeremy Grant, where I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I get confused thinking about it because to me, I feel like even if I'm the Pistons, a bad team and should be selling, I don't think that's the guy I trade, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I get confused even thinking about it because I just don't think you're going to get Jeremy. I think Jeremy Grant's really good is what I'm saying. I don't think you're going to get his true value in a trade, especially if you're a team like the Pistons, where every team that you trade or talk to is going to be like, you're a bad team. Sell him low. We'll see. Wongy says, if everyone performs to their basketball potential, Brad gets the rotations right, then our current three bigs could do the job, and that's a lot of factors. It's a lot of factors. Greg says, Taco's 7'6". How is he a wasted bench spot when we got Semi Ojeablo and Grant Williams, Javonte Green, even bum-ass glove hand Langford? Yeah, I don't think Taco's a waste yet, because what else would that roster spot be right now? Because obviously, like, the higher end, and I tread lightly using that word, the higher end of the bench, like those guys, then you're considering wasted roster spots too, because those guys are replaceable too. I don't think he's a waste, but I do think there is some credence in saying that, he's nothing but, a bigger victory cigar. I think that's right now I'm talking. I think that's a fine way to put it. I honestly do. I don't think Taco is playable right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if even a year from now he is. All he has to do is have a couple things click. He's still going to be bad at moving and can't shoot, can't hit foul shots, but he's 7'6", and fairly coordinated for being that big. But I don't think this year with the Celtics, I don't think there's any room for him. Greg says, Langford, when playing, averages 2 points. People say he's a good player and he'll help us. Yeah, I don't know what people are banking on. I know there is a lot of Romeo love right now, and to me, I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see what people see in Romeo. And, more power to you if you see Romeo and you're like, okay, sweet. Like, I love him. Great. I want to see what you're seeing, though, because I haven't seen much out of him to trust it. Do I have the hope? Yeah, I give myself the hope, right? Like, I hope Romeo Langford's going to be great. I hope Romeo Langford has what it takes. But to base it on anything tangible, that's where you lose me real quick. Kane says, our defense is the real issue. It seems like we can't stop anybody on most nights. Even this Rockets team had no business scoring 100 points. Guess what they scored? 100-plus points. So, yeah, I think this defense is... But again, I think this team has... Like, how do I phrase this right? Because I don't want to give this team too much credit, but I think that we really haven't seen their true defensive potential. Marcus Smart's been out. You know, they've had guys injured. The COVID... Like, they haven't had time to really formulate this team defense, which is what the Celtics should be relying on. You know, a team sort of defense. Raisin says, I honestly think we have a better chance of beating the Lakers than the Nets. I hope Milwaukee or Philly takes care of them. I think the Nets are so much better than people think, regardless of their depth. So I'm kind of with you. I don't know if I would, like, honestly, at this point with this team, I think the Lakers, Nets, Milwaukee even, and Philly are going to be tough to beat in a 7-game series. Can the Celtics do it? I'm not going to count it out. You know, I'm wearing a Celtics shirt with Celtics memorabilia in the background. I love the Celtics. I'll take them. I'll be confident in them. But you got to be real about it to some degree too. And that's where I say, okay, 7-game series. Now I'm a little bit worried. New says Scal's a clown, but he made a good... I'm glad that you prefaced that because I can't agree more. He says, Scal's a clown, but he made a good point tonight that every Celtics basket seems too hard. That's a Brad problem. However, this used to not be an issue. The ball moved well. How much is Brad versus the players? I think it's... I don't know if this is even blaming Brad or the players when I say this, but I've started to believe this as I've noticed it more. I don't think Brad has fully comprehended how to coach Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown perfectly right now. Perfectly, you're probably like, yeah, no kidding, Ev. What have you been watching? Like, way to brain bust that one. But what I mean is, I think Brad Stevens, like, it's interesting that we always see him coach so well when his stars are injured or, you know, they have less than a whole team. I'm finally starting to see that. I just don't know if Brad Stevens has it in him to look Jason Tatum in the eye and say, hey, that, you know, dribbling all around for 20 seconds of the shot clock and pulling up for 3, that's a bad shot, dude. You know, like, I never see that sort of... I'm the coach, you're the player. I almost wonder if Tatum and Brown have now, you know, coach, players, Tatum and Brown have now kind of gotten to that level of Brad Stevens doesn't exactly know how to coach them. And it's not like Brad Stevens has had the history of doing it. You know, college coach turned NBA coach, always had guys that were sort of like that grindy, non-superstar-led team. Now all of a sudden you have as good of talent as you've ever had, if not better, and it's kind of like, oh boy, like, I don't know. Like, even Isaiah Thomas averaging 30 points a year, no one would be like, that's a superstar right there. Like, you know, he probably even viewed Brad as the superior on the team. I don't know if Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown view Brad as the superior, so maybe he's gotten away from it a little bit. But that's still a player's problem where Jason Tatum dribbling for 20 seconds for a step-back 3. Like, that's still, he should know that's not good basketball regardless of the coach. So that's what I say. I don't know if I come out on it's a Brad problem or a player's problem. You guys know that I blame Brad plenty for this year. I'm not one of the Celtics fans that's like, did Brad motivate his players tonight? Like, I'm sure that, you know who's probably tweeting that. Like, oh, the Celtics won by 30. Did Brad motivate his players? Like, no. To say that Brad Stevens has done a perfect job this year, you're the idiot. So I think it's a little bit of both. Kane says, we seem to get torched every night by someone, whether it's Kyrie, Beal, or whoever. Yeah, or Sadiq Bey, or Danilo Gallinari. Like, I'm expecting a Kyrie or a Beal to torch me, but when it's the losers that are torching us, it's like, yikes. Khan says, Marcus Smart's only going to get better and better. Gear says, give me Barnes, Thad Young, and Patty Mills. Perfect. You get a Barnes who I know is like, I would give him, you know, star rating, right? Then you get 2 veterans like that can still ball. I give it, yep. Ian says, at least you know Smart and Rob can be traded. I got green teamers on Twitter telling me they're untouchable, and I laugh. I agree PP's only get the best solid off the bench guard with starter, no injuries. Gear says, yo, after the stream, I'm going to DM you about a good idea for the stream. You might like it or hate it. Hey, my DMs are open for good ideas about the stream. So send it, Gear. News says, Taco's roster spot could be IT or Crawford. Yeah, but I also think Crawford could be on the team instead of, like, Javonte Green or Semi. So while you're right, I think, you know, we're right, too, in a sense. MP says, love Javonte. Everyone on the team hates him, but I still wish Max Struss got the last roster spot that year. We needed him. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Like, I completely forgot about that. You know, Javonte Green worked into that roster spot, but how much is that worth now? Gear says, obviously, we haven't seen enough Romeo to judge. I still think he's good, though. I haven't seen him enough to call him a bust. Going to watch his college tape show why we drafted him so high. Yeah, like I said, I have hope open for him. I just don't know what we're basing any sort of, like, credible cement expectations on. Raisin says, I think Philly and Milwaukee we can beat, but not the Nets. Ian says, if he wants to say Taco's a waste of a roster spot, don't tell me Waters isn't. They have two clones of each other. Him and Edwards neither play and have been for years. Gave up on a draft pick. Guys, this is the thing. We're arguing right now about who's a waste of a roster spot. That's a problem that you can say, hey, this guy's a roster spot waste. This guy's a roster spot waste. No, I got this. Guy comes in from the back corner. This guy's a roster spot waste. Like, that's an issue with the Celtics overall, that there's so money. There's so many garbage guys on this team, whether they're guys that don't play or guys that do play. There's so many garbage players on this team that you're not winning a championship with Semi Ojeleye playing, 20 minutes or Graham Williams playing 15 minutes. I honestly believe that. There's a lot of problems at the lower end of this team. Gear says, I know he tenses and gets high in the commentary box, but sometimes Gorman wants to tell Scal to shut the F off on TV. It's obvious. Yeah, and you guys know my take on Scal. If you don't, I'll say it again. He's better than 90% of local broadcasters, and that's not to his credit, okay? You listen to some of the other local broadcasts around. If you stream games or whatnot, you'll find their local broadcasts. There's a lot of broadcasts that stink, like stink. You think Scal's bad? They stink. But what pisses me off about Scal is he'll bullshit you and act like he knows the player, or he knows all about his history, or he knows a stat, or he knows his play style when he hasn't seen them play ever before. It's like, don't. And again, maybe that works for the average, whatever, the person that isn't on social media or isn't watching anyone but the Celtics, and they only see this player once a year. That works for them. I get it. He's probably appealing to the masses, but to someone that's an NBA fan and probably like a lot of you guys, it's just bull. Like, I don't need to hear him tell me how some, what was it, Nawabi, this guy on the Rockets, who he's like, I like him, he's a hard player. You would have never even watched him, I bet. Like, don't try and convince me that you know everything about basketball. That's what drives me nuts with him. Scal had the balls to shit on Vucevic in the first quarter when he's killing us. He said the Celtics shouldn't waste the TP on a guy who just walks around the court. Yeah, okay. Greg says, am I going to get banned from the streams if I told you I'm wearing my Lakers LeBron jersey now after Celtics win? It's pretty damn close. I mean, we're not kicking you out, Greg, but you're on thin ice. News says Waters is a waste, but no one is saying he can be a meaningful contributor. People still act like Taco's a legit NBA player. I feel like you guys are, News is under the gun here. I agree with News more than people probably think. Like, Taco Fall, I don't think he's ever going to be like a starting NBA player. He's the guy that everyone wants to be that point. I'd love it if he did too, and I'd love if he did it in Celtics, because he literally, got what you can't teach, height. But I don't know if Taco Fall is going to be the guy anytime soon. Ian says, would I chirp at Greeny because I fuck with it? That guy's mad annoying on Twitter sometimes. No comment, Ian. Ubi says, what about going after LaMarcus now? Does everyone feel about that? I like LaMarcus Aldridge, the player. I wouldn't hate it if they got him. I don't know how much he contributes to the team, though. I think he'd be the best offensive big man you have, at least around the block. But I do think he's pretty washed and whatnot. But again, my take's pretty similar all the time here. I would still take LaMarcus Aldridge on this team because why not type of thing. All right, guys, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the stream. We're still rolling for a little bit here. We're going to jump off soon, but we've seen a lot of new names in the chat tonight, so make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. If you're watching on Periscope or Twitch, make sure to head over to YouTube. I tweeted out the link at FGuyBoston on Twitter, and make sure to like the stream and subscribe. Kane saying too many draft picks we held on to. Should have traded them. Completely agree. Kane says most local broadcasters are terrible. Raisin says, yeah, I'll happily take Scal over whoever the bums are that call the Raptors game. Exactly. Like, I would take Scal over all these guys, but I'd still honestly say, okay, guys, like, Scal is a bullshitter. That's probably the best way to put it. He's a know-it-all bullshitter, but there's plenty of broadcast guys out there that don't even, like... like they don't even bullshit. They just don't know what's going on. Be like, oh yeah, I've never seen that guy Kemba Walker before. Like, there's a lot of bad local broadcasters. Wolf saying, what's going on? Ev, what's going on? Gear says, you might want to take off the Lemecki jersey. Greg says, Nwaba's a good player too. He's a great defensive rebounded player that you could trade for nothing. I would take him. MP saying, before the break, we're going to target Marc Gasol. I don't want him, but I know some things. I would have taken him. I would. I mean, I don't know. I would take him. Not that I want him, but I would take him. If that's correct information, then it's interesting because I think Marc Gasol is good. Again, he's similar to LaMarcus Aldridge. Not necessarily in play right now, but it's like, I don't know if he comes here and is a game changer at all, but why wouldn't you take him, right? Take the flyer, unless he costs too much. A lot of these guys, when you talk buyouts, are way different than trades, obviously. News says, Ev, Greg diverge. I love the little rivalry we have, Greg and News here. Gregory deserves a Grant Williams womp womp for the LeBron jersey. He does. He does. Ubi says, I agree. Namaba was a very... No, too much water tonight. I can't really pronounce. I'm slurring. I agree. Nawaba was a very solid player before he tore his Achilles. I'll reel it back in. But on that note, guys, we are going to sign off. Thank you very, very, very much for tuning in. Win or lose, we're here. Boring game, blowout win. That was an obvious win. We are here. We're talking Celtics, and I'm glad that you guys all tune in and have some fun, But hopefully, I think we got the Tuesday? Got the Jazz coming up. Hopefully we're talking about a win, because that would be great. I know they've dropped a couple games. They are one of the hottest teams in the NBA, if not one of the best team in the NBA right now. So let's go and take it to a good team. This Rockets team was kind of just like, let's squish the little bug. But we'll talk to you guys next game. Go Celts. Store merch link in the description below. Pick up some Teddy Celtic gear if it's still available. And I'll catch you guys in the next stream. Peace.